International Shoe did not want to pay its employees compensation. Did not want to pay the employment tax, unemployment tax. Right? Right? All right. What else? Come on. Did you say Monica? You don't have a name tag. Who was he? What are we talking about? Good. So, International Shoe was a corporation that's incorporated where? Missouri. In the state of Washington. Missouri has a business where? Missouri. Incorporated in Delaware, right?
Yes.
Am I reading something? You guys haven't memorized International Shoe versus state of Washington one night? What's wrong with you? It's a very complicated case. It's the United States Supreme Court case that we read in law school when they talk about personal jurisdiction. I think to these entry level was knowing that you would do well at that trust that you would work at. Okay, so we have this employer, International Shoe. It has its corporation in Delaware, business in Missouri, doing business in the state of Washington. This is what we're kind of talking about, right? But now we talk about we move from subject matter jurisdiction to personal jurisdiction. And as Alina said, employers did not want to, International Shoe did not want to pay unemployment tax in the state of Washington because they said, you know what, we're not a company. We're not incorporated in the state. We don't do business in the state. We have 7 independent or 14 independent salesmen who sell shoes there. Here's the thing, we live there. We don't have a hub there. We have one of those stores that sometimes we can put up as a temporary store to come by and show shoes. We ship shoes to the state, right?
They were doing they were renting rooms.
Renting rooms.
In a mall so people could see
the shoes.
But I didn't get the part when the company, the owner, he gave his workers the one pair of shoes.
Not relevant for purposes of determining what the issue.
It was funny that I understand that he was giving them one shoe as the benefit, the bonus. Why do you need one shoe? So I didn't really get that.
I have no clue why you need one shoe. But I tell you this, it's so funny. I read the case about 50 times now. I don't remember that part. But that's nice. It's actually nice. And the reason why what you have to determine when you read these cases, what's the relevant facts. And the relevant facts are determined because you look at the issue. Alright. So, but when you're reading these cases and you read other cases and you get into law practice and you're reading oppositions, what are the relevant facts? What facts are going to determine the issue? Right? That's how you look at the issue. If what facts are in the issue, what facts are in the whole, we can tell relevant facts. So I never knew that fact because I'm looking at what's relevant. That's a background fact. That's an irrelevant background fact. Hey, he got shoes. Your question is why did he get shoes for voting? Because he's a cheap box. I mean, cheap boxes. Hey, but in 1945, that might have been all status. Right? Never know.
That's true.
All status. Am I going to answer that class? Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. So what else happened? What other facts are relevant?
There was a statement saying that he received samples to go and have them at the change of that was the sale of goods, and that's why they should collect for us.
They ship goods to the state. They have business. And just think about this. We're talking about unemployment tax. These are citizens of the state of Washington. Right? They live in the state of Washington. They're independent salesmen, but they live in the state of Washington. And when they get fired or don't have a job, where do you think they collect their unemployment tax from? In Washington, right? But and it's just like, man, no. We're not in this 1945. Yeah, I remember law school when I say that. 1945, right? And they're like, no, we don't know what you're talking about. We're in Missouri and Delaware. We just have to do this. That's why we have the right independent contract. All right, so we have these facts. We have these list of facts. What was the issue that the court determined, Mr. Medina?
I guess whether the sales activities wanting to meet
Is it, I guess? Yeah, I guess it, or you know what conviction? Okay, cool. Omitting the I guess with conviction. Absolutely. So the issue is not, and that's very good, Mr. Medina, we're not determining whether International Shoe has to pay unemployment taxes in the state of Washington. That's not what the issue is. That was determined at the administrative unemployment tax. It went through there, right? It said the administrative board says you owe us unemployment tax, right? International appeal. They appealed to the state superior court, the state child court. Of course, the state child court affirm. Federal court affirm. State supreme court affirm. How many state courts are going to say no, you don't owe our state money? Right? Affirm. Like, this is BS. We appealed it. So we're in this parallel state federal. We're in the state court from administrative to appellate. They appealed it to the United States Supreme Court. They went from parallel to the next, right? They went here. Who decided that case that you have in front of you? Andrew, you have not. Who says? What's the citation? No, what's the citation of the case?
326 U.S.
326 U.S. Supreme Court. We're in what court?
U.S.
United States Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And I think underneath the date it says United States Supreme Court. Supreme Court of the United States is right above international shoes.
Right.
International shoes. Hey, what I'm telling you is, don't gloss over this stuff. You guys don't know this stuff well enough where you can just kind of you do it. Read it. When you get good at it, then gloss over it. Right now, read it. So you can be familiar. So you're like, oh, we're in the United States Supreme Court. Anybody wonder how we got to the United States Supreme Court from the Unemployment Administrative Court? Anybody wonder that? Yeah, because there's one person in the whole class that made me feel like I wouldn't put on the law school. What's your name? You asked me a question. Go ahead.
Well, I think because the international issue has said that the tax is a violation of 14 amendments that make it federal constitutional.
So, it was a due process violation of the 14th Amendment. And they were arguing, hey, you're violating our due process rights. You didn't give us notice. We don't have jurisdiction. You didn't give us notice. You don't have jurisdiction. You don't give us notice. You don't have jurisdiction. You're violating our due process rights. Correct? They talked about service, right? They talked about service in there somewhere, right? They didn't serve us. They mailed it to us. Did this, right? Good. And so they went through this whole state court like they had to because it was an administrative. They couldn't go from the administrative court in the state of Washington to the federal court. Because it wasn't a federal issue at the time. It was an administrative issue. And the unemployment tax, unemployment state, goes to the state level, gets to the top. They said, hey, look, you're violating our due process rights of the 14th Amendment. Constitutional, we want the United States Supreme Court here. Remember, I told you earlier, so we have these parallel systems, and once you get in one system, you're stuck. However, once you get to the top of the state system, you're dealing with a federal issue, you can petition it or review the United States Supreme Court, and they can make a determination if they're going to review it. They don't go from the California or Washington Supreme Court back to the United States District Court. Right? You guys got that?
Right.
Because that's confusing in this case. If you're not familiar, you're just kind of reading like, how the hell did they get here? I know I thought that when I first read it. What the hell is going on here? It's confusing. All right, so we got to that. You know, that's called procedural history. That's the procedural history. Right there. So we got this procedural history. We got the relevant facts. What's the issue? Mr. Davis said the issue is whether
Washington business
very good. Whether the state of Washington can exercise personal jurisdiction over a non-resident defendant violating the due process clause, due process rights. Very good, Mr. Davis. My definition. My definition. Right on. Not to do that, but I want you to learn no issue is going to be the same unless you plagiarize or unless you actually quote an issue from the actual text, which you can. I want you to get used to writing your own issues and saying it your own way. The way I say it, I understand it. You have to write your issues. You have to write so you can understand it. If you don't understand what you write, guarantee you I'm not going to understand what you write. So, but the issue is whether the state of Washington can exercise personal jurisdiction over a non-resident defendant. Now, I'm not talking about due process and violations of the 14th Amendment rights. That's the general issue. Is everybody with me on that? Are you ready? You're not. Are you with me because you're hearing this? Good. All right. So now what I'm doing is I'm briefing the case in my head. This is all I'm doing. I'm fire racking the case. You guys ever heard of fire rack or Iraq? Yeah, IRAC.
Yeah.
I like the IRAC because I like to put the facts separate, and I teach my classes in legal writing. The IRAC is perfectly okay. But I think IRAC for entry level paralegals and entry level student breaks it down even further. You get the relevant facts and procedural history in the F, the issue in the I, the rule of law, in the R, the analysis and conclusion. So it's pretty same, just separate facts. So we have our facts, our relevant facts. Our issue, we now have to give us an issue, then give us the facts, Monica gives us the facts, give us the facts. What is the rule of law? Works for English. Go ahead.
Okay, that the contract that International Shoe have established in the state of Washington doing business enable the court to exercise jurisdiction over them.
That is a great analysis of what's the rule. That is a great analysis. The rule is law. Give me a law. Give me 4 types of laws. 4 types of law. Cases and statutes. Administrative law. Thank you, Joe. Administrative law. Constitution. Thank you. Statutes and laws. Right. Very good. And so when you think about when you're firefighting, you see the R, which is the rule of law, knowing that what the 4 primary sources are, you have to put something that says law in there. That's a great analysis. All right, when we get to the A, you go next. Give me the rule of law. 14th Amendment is definitely going to be one of the issues. Due process violation. Due process clause. You cannot violate my rights. You have to give notice of a lawsuit. You have to give correct notice for a lawsuit to go forward. For you to exercise jurisdiction, personal jurisdiction over, you have to give correct notice. Right? 14th Amendment. What else?
There were 14 under specific judicial.
What's the judicial role?
28 USCA section 344A.
What is that?
That's
That's probably getting from the court. How about I give you a common law rule dealing with minimum contact test, minimum contact doctrine? Have you heard of those words before when you read the case? Minimum contacts? Have you heard before you read it? Awesome. Minimum contact doctrine. State or court can exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant, over a non-resident defendant, over a non-citizen defendant. A court can exercise personal jurisdiction over a non-resident defendant if that defendant has either systematic and continuous contact with the state, systematic and continuous contact with the state, if the incident occurred in the state. Systematic and continuous activity in the state, if the incident occurred in the state, notice is given, and it does not offend the traditional notions of fair play and justice. And it does not offend the traditional notions of fair play and justice. Minimum contact test. Broad. Again, and I'm probably going to say it differently this time because I'm not reading it, it's reading my mind. Minimum contact doctrine says that a court or a state can exercise personal jurisdiction over a non-resident or non-citizen defendant if that defendant has certain minimum contacts with the state that are systematic, continuous, or the incident occurred in the state, the defendant is given notice of the actual complaint, and it does not offend the traditional notions of fair play and justice element.
And or all of these things?
No, well, systematic and continuous, yes. Isolated incident, no, is it or? So systematic and continuous, or isolated incident, and notice, and does not offend the traditional notion of fair play and justice. If you read International Versus State of Washington, that definition is in there. It's actually, it's not like I said, it's said so much better. It's written so much better, but it's in there. That's the general thing. And you say, what does that mean? Well, and let's tell us about your analysis. Somebody recite what you just said.
That the court found that they had jurisdiction.
Base.
Sorry, I know, I'm going to say that. Now the court found that the court had jurisdiction over international shoe because they had had continuous contact with the foreign state and did business in state law.
Very good. Want to read this verbatim? Is that a citation? So they're making law. United States Supreme Court of Maine. This is a opinion on personal jurisdiction of the United States. I believe it talks about due process clause or later on in here. So just keep reading. If you haven't read the case, read it over the weekend. Now when you sit there with your significant other, sit there and let's see international shit, baby. He or she will appreciate you. You trying to say I'm bored? Is that what you're trying to say? I'll tell people. That's what I'm reading my significant other. National source there was. You get cracked in my all right, so very good. So what Angela's saying is now when we analyze it, we go to the analysis of it, the court reasons, and I don't know if you guys have talked to your faces, but I used to kind of try to teach my class to do it a certain way. And if you start off, and you're going to get more down. But start off with the court reason. The court reason that the state of Washington can exercise personal jurisdiction over international issues. Okay, got that. I use the word because. That transitions to facts. The court reasons that the state of Washington can exercise personal jurisdiction over international issues. That sentence is a legal statement. Personal jurisdiction is in there. Proper law. Because transition word, and then you go to the specific facts. Because international shoe had minimum contacts because they had salesmen in the state. Because they shipped goods to the state. Because they put up displays in the state. Because they collected money and paid their employees in the state of Washington. All those things I just mentioned were facts. Yes. They didn't collect money and they paid their employees. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Did regular business.
No. Because regular business would not be enough to satisfy systematic and continuous. You have to identify why it is systematic and continuous.
So why you have to identify why it is systematic. What is?
Because you can use general terminology, but why? Because all you're going to do is get another question.
Okay.
Right? Because if you say regular business, my next question is what's regular business? Instead of in your actual analysis, you identify personal jurisdiction based on these factors. Mr. Virginia. That's one of the factors, along with all the other relevant factors that we had. Like I said, I don't think any one of those facts standing alone is enough for systematic and continuous, but I do believe, and the court, I really agree that all those facts comparatively, yes. That's his word. Really? So why is it common law primary source?
No, it's
But you understand.
all they can do is interpret existing laws. They can't just whimsically make up new law.
So they're not making up law. They're not making law here?
Well, that's what it is, right?
All appellate courts do.
No, I think interpret existing states.
They can take the law with the facts and make law. Why is case law primary source? Based on who thought process? Yours or intellectuals who said it is? Really? So you're telling me that when I say what the four primary sources of the law, you're telling me that case law is not the primary source?
For the purposes of what people believe.
That's the convenient argument that we already made. For the purposes of what people believe. Objection. So no, it's not legislative. It's not the Constitution. And it's not administrative law. It's the courts taking the law, taking the facts, and applying them in their making law. How are they not making law? You ever heard of Roe versus Wade? You ever heard of Brown versus the Board of Education? That desegregated the schools?
Yep.
Isn't that the law? You're being argumentative right now. It takes away from your argument. It takes away what you're trying to say because you're telling me it's a system that we live in. The United States of America. Correct.
The states want the country to win.
What?
We're Republican.
He likes to argue.
This is the thing. He likes to argue.
You guys don't defend him. Why? The point is, if the courts, the appellate courts make law, they don't make law. They take the law that's made, they take the facts, they apply them, and then they make law.
Constitutionally given power is to nullify a law.
We could how about for the purpose of this discussion, we could agree this.
Only the legislature.
We could agree this. Okay. So, go ahead.
Becomes law. My question was, you said that there were 4 ways that something becomes a law, and I just wanted to refresh my memory. It's statute and code.
I said that there are 4 ways to send the federal law. I said that there are 4 primary sources. Primary sources are the law, and the 4 primary sources are Constitution, statutes and codes, administrative law, and case law. Those are the 4 primary sources. So, if the United States Supreme Court takes the due process clause, they take the Constitution, then they took these facts, and they said, okay, we're going to divide the minimum contact doctrine for personal jurisdiction, which is still applicable today. Each state has been codified as long-form statutes, and they took it from the United States Supreme Court. If you don't believe me, you can Google it, or keep it, or go back to another legal instruction. Okay. But for the purposes of identifying the minimum contact doctrine, the court said, all right, we have systematic and continuous activity with the state. We're going to allow the court, we're going to allow the state to exercise personal jurisdiction over you because of the systematic and continuous activity. We're going to say that they did not violate the due process of rights, the Eighth Amendment, because they gave you notice. They provided you with notice, right? They provided notice at the Missouri office and I believe at the Delaware office. They mailed stuff, right? This is 1945. You can't email or you can't, fax. You can't do that. You do it the best way you can, right? And so, we realized the due process clause, so we did not offend. Of course, they did not offend the traditional notions of fair play and justice. Because they did everything that they determined right, and they upheld the decision of the Supreme Court, the state's Washington State Supreme Court. So when you're doing this analysis, though, when you're doing the analysis, you're taking the minimum contact doctrine, and you're identifying the facts for support it. You're taking the due process clause of the 14th Amendment, and you're identifying the facts to support it. You're taking the traditional notions of fair play and justice, you're identifying the facts to support it. And some of them overlap. That's okay. So when you're briefing cases, this is how you're thinking about it. And more importantly, in briefing cases, when you're reading the cases, you should be briefing in your head. And this is what's going on. I always tell students, especially at this level, right, when you read the cases, right, I don't think that you're good enough at this level to be able to convey everything that you read at this level. I have read the case probably over 10 years. Now I read the case and I brief it on the paper. So I put an I next to the issue, circle, put an R next to the rule, put an R2 next to the rule, I put analysis and I highlight. So that's kind of my brief. Still briefing, but just not writing it out word for word like I would suggest that you do it for this day. So, we're talking about personal jurisdiction, and we saw the minimum context test. Now, there's other ways for a state to exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant. There's other ways for a state or the federal courts to exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant. Just for purposes of what's going to be tested. personal jurisdiction is also considered in personam. In personam. That's jurisdiction over a person. In rem is jurisdiction over property. In personam is jurisdiction over a person. In rem jurisdiction is, of course, jurisdiction over property. I think there's a question on the test that talks about in rem and in personam using those terminologies, so I want you to be familiarized. One question on the test. One. So, personal jurisdiction, a state or court can exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant by these ways. Residence, these are all one, if you will. Residence, citizenship, and domicile, all considered citizenship. Residence, citizenship, and domicile. Domicile, D-O-M-I-C-I-L-E. Residence, citizenship, and domicile. So, if you're driving down the street, somebody crosses in the back, it's funny because we just say, okay, I know I have exercise jurisdiction over it. It's interesting how you exercise personal jurisdiction. Somebody crashes in the back. He said, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you in civil court. You're going to give me my money. You're doing all that until you find that damage. So when you every hit, don't do a whole bunch of theatrics because they're going to say it's wrong. You lay on the floor, on the ground. Hello, my neck, my back. Yes. The state exercise personal jurisdiction over an individual based on residence, citizenship, or domicile. This is one way. A person driving in the street, he's a citizen. He lives on Figueroa and First Street, down the street here. This is right where he lives. He crashes into the back of you. You want to sue him in central court. The amount of controversy is $20,000. Are you suing him in limited or unlimited? Limited. You sue him in limited court. The amount of controversy is $20,000. You sue him, even though I don't need to probably say it. But anyway, you sue him in court. And you write your complaint. This court has personal jurisdiction over this defendant because he lives in the state of California. He lives right here in the state of California. What if he lives in San Francisco? Could this court exercise personal jurisdiction over? Can the state exercise personal jurisdiction over? Yeah, San Francisco is in California. I don't know if you knew it. Okay. Anybody from the Kern area? Yeah. Kern County is not in California. Where am I? I'm messing with you guys. I'm trying to wake you up. Kern County is just a lot of residential area, like a lot of minutes. There's a whole bunch of sheets.
It's the Midwest, but in
Pretty much. But in deserts. So, but all of that citizenship anywhere in California can exercise personal jurisdiction over you. Anywhere in California courts can exercise personal jurisdiction over you. Right? And you might say, well, how does a Los Angeles court exercise personal jurisdiction with someone living in San Francisco? Well, you're still in the state. Now we're talking about venue, which is two different things. You say, well, the incident occurred down here in Los Angeles, so the venue is in Los Angeles. Or you can move the venue up to San Francisco, which I don't see why anybody would do. But that's where the venue resides. So the venue is, we come back to it, the venue is where the incident took place, or where the venue is. We're talking about other venue processes. Okay? So, now, if the defendant is over here, plaintiff is right here, defendant is right here. Is the defendant a citizen of the state of California? No. Based on my schematic, is the defendant, does he reside in the state of California? No. Is he domiciled in the state of California? No. Okay, so if you say that he's not a citizen of California, how does California exercise personal jurisdiction over his defendant? Well, another way is by consent. The second way is by consent. The defendant, okay, I will allow the state of California to exercise personal jurisdiction. And you can do it expressly or implicitly. The way you implicitly do it is you respond. So, if you're a state of California, I mean, if you're in Nevada, you're a defendant, and you can serve a complaint, You're like, no, you can't do this. I'm not official. You can't exercise personal jurisdiction over me. You can't exercise personal jurisdiction over me, right? I'm going to file an answer, and I'm going to argue that. Well, when you file that answer, you consent. Right?
Yeah.
That's why you hire attorneys, you guys. When you file any motion, you file a motion, you consent. The only thing that you can file where you wouldn't consent is a motion to quash. Motion to quash. Motion to quash service process.
I know that you were saying the purpose of the filing. We used to get students their agent of service in California, and we get a response from their primary expense business in, let's say, Arkansas or something like that, and their attorney would send me back a letter saying that simply serving their agent of service in California is not enough to confer jurisdiction. That's what I said. They would be a corporate code section to follow that. We're just a street service. I have access to all. That's what I thought. You're just like, I never brush this off my desk anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, but yeah, this is talking about individual, but you have a corporation. The whole purpose of having an agent for service and process in the state is that's the agent for service and process. Right? And so that's service for purposes of exercising jurisdiction. Now, is that enough? It might be in context. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's a little deeper. So, they consent expressly saying, okay, yeah, we'll consent, and they file. Or they do an action, and they just file a motion, or they file a response, or they file an answer. If they file a motion to quash, that's not a consenting or implicit consent. That is challenging the actual jurisdiction of the court. So the court cannot exercise personal jurisdiction over you for challenging the jurisdiction. However, the court can exercise personal jurisdiction if you answer the complaint. If you have anything to do with the merits of the complaint, if you do anything with the merits of the complaint in court, the court will say, okay, thank you, we got you.
So it's a way of protecting yourself from the court, granting the whatever the motion is, or granting for the plaintiff. It's a way of protecting. It's a way for the defendant to protect themselves from the court taking action for a non-responsive answer.
Absolutely. Because if you don't respond, it might issue a default. Right? Now you can get past it because you can say, hey, look, you couldn't accept jurisdiction over me anyway. So, but for purposes of practical, you should file a motion to quash, service of process, and say you do not have jurisdiction over us. You cannot do anything. Now the court will make this ruling. And you could appeal it if you don't agree with it. But if the court finds that it does have jurisdiction over you, you submit. Now the court will exercise personal jurisdiction over you. I just find that fascinating. I know. It's just a different rule. I just find it fascinating.
Yeah, that's like 30
plus 5. Yeah, you probably, let's just personally serve. And personally serve 30 days if the person is by minimum 30 plus 5. Yes.
They can still issue, they can overrule in the California law now. Basically say,
if you file a motion to quash, or if you file a motion to quash, what if the judgment for plaintiff? If you file a motion to quash, and the court hears the motions, and you file a motion, they file opposition, you file a reply to opposition. And the court hears, having hearing date, you do oral arguments, and the court rules in favor of the plaintiff, then that means that you have 30 days to respond. In the court from that date, that he chooses to say, hey, we can exercise personal jurisdiction. You have 30 days from around that date. My red date to make the ruling. If they decide that the court does not have personal jurisdiction over you, then you're fine.
never does California.
No.
You get it, there's a judgment against you.
There's no judgment. We initiated action. All we are the initiation.
Ignore it, then you do a motion to quash. You get a judgment.
And then they get a judgment, and then you try to get it taken out saying that they didn't have a fair process. That's why I said practically, the best response was to file a motion to quash. You don't have to get a judgment. You probably get the judgment overturned if you can show that they have personal jurisdiction, but that's a very procedural type of issue. But right now, we're just trying to initiate the plan and initiate service of the process to get the defendant in court. You would rather have the defendant in court on the merits and beat them on the merits and beat them on a procedural defect, because courts and appellate courts are more apt to overturn a procedural defects because United States what matters heard on the merits. They want matters decided on the merits of the case, not because you get quick or fast. All right. So the second way is consent. The third way could be waiver.
So the first one is response, which is consent, right?
First one is residence, citizenship, or domicile. Second one is consent. The third way is waiver. So this is when we're talking about you must preserve your objection on the motion. If you don't preserve your objection in the judgment, the court can deem that you waived your objection to two-person jurisdiction by not responding.
So what happens if you just ignore them?
That's the court. If you ignore them in the 30 days pass, they can get the default judgment against you. And
No action, no action.
so that's why practically you should do something. Practically, you should do something. The best thing to do is to file a motion to quash.
Yeah,
Yes. You're not saying that, hey, you're saying this, I'm challenging this court's jurisdiction over me. I'm not submitting to this court's jurisdiction. By answering or filing anything responsive on the merits, you're submitting to the court's jurisdiction. By challenging the court's jurisdiction, it's just that you're saying I don't have jurisdiction. You call me here, but I'm not going to let this matter. This is judgment against me. I can deal with that. That's the practical concept.
Okay, so yes, you ignore your judgment. What's the consequence of ignoring it?
If you're defendant, your consequences for being garnished wages, lien on property, anything that comes with judgments. Not questions. We need to talk every Now, if it's a criminal matter you're informed, you're going to get a warrant, they're going to pick you up. When you pull you over, and you shave all those times, when they pull you over violating the traffic, you're going to go to jail. That's not fun. All right. And the last way that a state or court can exercise personal jurisdiction is based on minimum contacts that's been codified in most states as the long form statute. The long form statute. The long form statute. Which is what Form.
Arm.
Watch this. You ever remember Pastor Man?
Yes. Plastic.
Oh.
Sorry. The long form statute. Pastor Man from People My Generation. Pastor Man form can stand all the way out and he grabs things from far away. He can bring it back.
That's the same long arm of the law.
Long arm statute allows for the court to pull itself all the way across the United States, anywhere in province, anywhere in the territory, and pull a non-resident defendant into the court. Not physically, obviously. Don't take it literally. I know you guys do it. No, it can't. No, it can't. The concept is long form statute exercises personal jurisdiction over you based off of the minimum context doctrine. Yes.
It's not a statute.
That has been statutory, it's codified statutory in California and all other states.
So it's not federal statute. Not just really court amendment statutes.
No, the statute is the statute. I did not say the long arm statute. I never said that. I said the minimum context test was designed or revised by International University of State of Washington and has developed over a period of time where states now have codified a long arm statute to allow the court to exercise personal jurisdiction over a non-resident defendant. That's what it said.
So some states codify that statute.
I don't know. I'm a California attorney. I have most states have long arm statutes. I don't know about all states. Most states do. But you gotta remember, I'm an attorney, and I'm not gonna let you just call my testimony. You said which has been applied and developed over the years, and has developed with history, has developed with, developed with our country moving, developed with the internet. And they said, okay, we're going to have this, we're going to allow for a state to exercise personal jurisdiction over non-resident and if they have systematic continuous contacts and it does not violate the process of the United States. That's what I said. And now the states have voted on it, their legislature, and codified it. California has. I don't know if the other states have. I don't know. Yes.
If you look at the very basic definition, it doesn't even just say yourself.
Let me start with your part.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. Hey. The nation, the territory, California has a long protection that goes everywhere. Anywhere. Because what if they would do is they would buy that contract for $10 million and then go to France. I can't get it. Well, basically I can't. Because this long statute exercising personal jurisdiction of you, I wouldn't see you going to get criminals. Voters is telling me that you have to appear in court. If you don't appear in court, I can get you a fall judgment. And that's the concept behind it. We're exercising this court's jurisdiction over your state's jurisdiction over you. Come in here in court and defend yourself. Don't go hide in the state. Now, granted, they can go anywhere we want to. But because we get no consumers and due process because of our long statute, California is it's perpetual, goes in wherever it wants to forever. If we get exercise personal jurisdiction, someone needs it. As long as you do process, as long as they meet the requirements of the minimum contact doctrine for a long statute, which is and is involved not only the systematic and continuous contact, but what if they crash into somebody in Los Angeles and they move to France? They don't have systematic. They're from France. They crash into somebody in Los Angeles. They don't have systematic continuous activity in the state of California. Right? It's just business. But because the accident occurred in the state of California, where it happened, we can exercise personal jurisdiction even if they go back to France. Even if they go back to France, because when we're in California, our laws protect you. Right? The laws protect all citizens, all people in our state. Right? That is a violation of the Constitution. And so our laws protection means you have to abide by our laws as well. You abide by our laws, and we can bring you in court to prosecute you criminally or bring a civil claim.
I was just going to ask for depositions on the peer court. Is it actually having both court like depositions and judgments?
France, I would never take a limited case to go to France.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, if liability is clear, I don't care if they're in France. All I need is insurance. I don't necessarily need deposition liability is clear. So it just depends on that. But based off of liability issue, yeah, we're happy for trying to have money to sue somebody in France. I hope your insurance covers it. So this is important stuff. Yes. It changes. Continuous and systematic behavior. It has evolved. It changes. There's a whole line of cases which talk about what is systematic and continuous. Because obviously, 1955, systematic and continuous is different than now. Especially because we talk about what products we put in the chain of commerce. That's systematic and continuous. Yes. How about one isolated incident? Oh, it's an isolated incident. So there's a lot of factors there. Again, you can read Burger King, you can read International Helicopter. I mean, there's a whole line of cases stemming from international issue that I find are worthy of reading and brilliant, and they really talk about how personal jurisdiction has evolved since this international issue. And so, is there a concrete definition? No, especially with the internet. And because now, new cases come and say, okay, passive versus non-passive website. Passive website is a website that no action, you're not advertising, someone goes on and finds it. They say, okay, I'm pricing off it, and they buy it, and you send it there, and they damage by it. And now you're saying, well, is that passive or non-passive? You're advertising advertise it, they push it. Compared to Target's website, which is very active. And so you can say, yeah, they advertise, they sell, they have a whole bunch of products coming to the state. You leave from this website, they have an active website. So they have systematic continuous activities with the state of Minnesota. Then we can exercise personal jurisdiction. Absolutely. So it changes. And the courts are not as fast as how society is moving. So. You're talking about the internet? No, not so much targets. Like for instance, I had a case when I was working over a guy. It was a contract. The contract was done online. It didn't identify if it was entered into in California or if it was entered into in Nevada. They said we signed on our side, we signed on our side. It was not to be performed in either state. It was kind of like a cross shipping, if you will, of things. And so it's kind of like, well, we didn't breach in California, we breached in Nevada because they want Nevada law. We say breach in California, we want California law. One of the ways we show minimum contacts is that he systematically continuously flew to the state of California to do business. Even if sometimes he wasn't in business, he was in California a lot. And so okay, we got 16 visits in the last 2 months. So we say that systematically continues. With 2 visits, probably not. We can show 16. And so in that regard, that was our argument for having been exercised for jurisdiction for So again, it's a very subjective evaluation. And like I said, sometimes of course in your favor, sometimes it don't. I actually have a concrete line, but it's real weak, bro. It's real weak. Alright. I'm sorry, this is my favorite part of the class. Monday